Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 2 of assessment and progress monitoring. Before we jump into the learning objectives for week 2, I wanted to do some reflection on this past week and some of the posts I was able to read. So there were 4 posts that I chose to go through and present during this post. And the first one is basically focusing on a school that has a program that moves very fast. It does not allow for reteaching. The student also stated, which I think is not very productive for the students. She does has her students complete worksheets as a formative assessment and looks over them, but the curriculum does not give her much time to review or reteach topics. And so a question I wanted to pose to you is, what will you do if you're put in this position? And so a lot of times when this occurs, it's not so much that the teacher has chosen the curriculum, but the school district or the school itself may choose the curriculum and ask you to follow it page by page. But as the instructional leader in your classroom, I want you to think about what are some ways that you could, I don't know how to say this, but get around this form of teaching so that you're complying with the needs of the school, but also more importantly, we've signed up to make sure that we are focused on student learning. And so how can we comply to the needs of the district or the school and also focus on our students' needs, making sure that they're not just regurgitating the information that we're giving them, but they're truly mastering the standards and the concepts and topics that we're teaching them. Number 2 is I often struggle with knowing whether or not to put more weight into a summative or formative assessment. So I'm going to give you an example because we actually talked about this during a conference I attended this week. And when we're looking at summative information, we're looking at the state test. We know that the state test occurs one time for many of our students a year. This can be affected by different things, whether or not they got sleep that night. There are different home situations. We know whether or not they're homeless or if they're moving from place to place, whether or not they have something to eat that day. Even, what has affected a lot of our students in the past is if they had their medication, that they know that helps them get more centered and focused. So, on the other hand, we have our formative assessments that are occurring all of the time, several times throughout the week. It allows you to not only observe the completed work of the students, but it allows you to observe how the students are completing the work, that process, their thinking skills. And so with that, without giving the answer, I want you to weigh on those two. Do I trust information that is a snapshot? Because it is useful in a way. It allows you to see your progress over time. Or do I put more weight on information that I'm able to gather more often, not just 2 or 3 times a year or once a year, but throughout the week, throughout the semester or quarter? So number 3, no 2 students are the same. Therefore, a single classroom will include diversity and differentiation. So I almost started shouting on this sentence because I must say I got very excited. My background is in Montessori. And so I truly believe in meeting the individual needs of every single student in the classroom and making sure that we provide them that opportunity to learn. And so it's something that I want you all to focus on when you get your classroom. Make sure that you are including the diversity and differentiation, especially when it comes to their learning and what you're teaching them and the ways that you teach them. Number 4, in the classroom, data use should be ongoing and integrated into all lessons so that teachers have an idea of whether or not students are attaining the specified learning goals and should be used to help inform continued instruction. So, this statement made me focus back on our Ohio Improvement Process, which is called OIP. It's an organizational strategy that the state has put in place a lot of schools that often use it are schools who are considered to be priority schools or focused schools. One thing I want us to think about, we are all entering in a new arena. And so there is a shift in our mindset that needs to take place. I think all of our hearts are there, but there's a shift in our mindset that needs to take place. And it's a shift that actually took place within the state of Ohio last year when they changed our OIP process, the Ohio Improvement Process. So it's a 5-step process. And previously, the 5-step process focused on collecting student data, putting those students in groups. You are then teaching a lesson. You're going to assess it. How did they do? And then what's your next step? Well, they changed it up because that focused on students and what they were producing, but it didn't focus on us as the adults, as the instructional leaders in the classroom. And so the new 5-step process, step 1 is identifying the actual critical need. Step 2 is a step that a lot of us don't take. And I feel like looking through your post, I am very, very proud to say that you all are on the right track. We have to research and select evidence-based strategies for our students. That's step 2. 3 is you plan for implementation. So after I've chosen my instructional strategy to meet this critical need, let's see if this can help this critical need shift forward and make some progress. I have to plan for implementation. What will it look like in my classroom? What will I be doing? What will my students be doing? Step 4 is we're going to actually implement and we're going to monitor. And so what we often used to do is plan a lesson, teach it, assess it, you keep moving. Well, in this process, we're going to implement, and as the instructional leader, we are going to monitor. How are our students responding to what we're teaching in the classroom? And this is where there was another post, I tried to find it and I couldn't find it, where a teacher was taking ownership of her students not making progress. This is where we take ownership of our actions. There are a lot of things that we cannot control, but what we are able to control are the instructional strategies that we implement in our classroom and how we implement them. So again, we have to take ownership of that. And number 5 is examine. We're going to examine how everything went. You're going to reflect, you're going to adjust. So what's really cool about this is we don't have to wait until step 5 to do our reflecting and our adjusting. That can actually occur within steps 3. Okay, so your week 2 learning outcomes will be candidates will develop and enhance data literacy skills. You will also analyze multiple sources of data to draw conclusions and identify instructional problems. You will identify the purpose of data sets and evaluate their usefulness in making instructional decisions as part of the RTI process. You will compare large-scale assessment data and classroom-based assessment data for use in the decision-making process, and compare formative and summative assessment data for use in the decision-making process. Your assignments for this week is the Brookhart, How to Make Decisions, your chapters 2 and 3. And then you will also have an article to read about balancing local assessment with statewide testing, building a program that meets student needs. Week 2 assessments, please make sure that you look over our discussion questions for our Form 2-1, which is focused on large-scale data. Some of you have already started. And Form 2, which is the Ohio testing requirements. So for this week, you actually have, it says a case study for the large-scale data. You are going to look over the questions that are presented in the form for the large-scale data. Please make sure that you answer every single question. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me, and I can assist you in any type of way. So just to focus on next week, on the 29th, you have due the assessment framework assignment. You are going to look through a few videos. They are listed in the form. So I want trying to give you a heads up on how to start this assignment, but just make sure that you click on the link to the videos, and you will have to search through YouTube to find the videos that are listed. They used to be all in one place on ODE through a link, but it's no longer accessible through that link. So we found a shortcut with the ODE FIP series. So just look through this information just to get a head start to next week. I also adjusted our class schedule. The first list of information that I received had our spring break earlier, but I was able to get everything confirmed where it is 3-2 through 3-7. And for our week 2 devotion, I just want us to focus on that words matter. Don't say anything to someone based on how you temporarily feel, because it can leave, for some people, permanent scars emotionally. So the scripture that we're going to focus on is Ephesians 4:29. It is, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. And so there's a quick video I would like for you all to look over. You can comment below this post when I post it in our forum on just any ideas, anything that you feel that you would change based on watching this video, or just different examples that you may have experienced as a student and also as an educator. So this week, I want you all to, 1, focus on making sure that we complete all of our assignments on time. 2, also look over your APA citations, making sure that we are including in our initial post, you need to have 2 sources to get all of your points. And I'm trying to think if there's something else. I can't think of anything else that I saw challenges with, but I love the way that you all are interacting with one another and just showing great work in studying. So continue to have a great, wonderful, blessed week, and I look forward to seeing your post.